Does America feel great again?
No, not at all. I can get laid off tomorrow, then I'm pretty much homeless. Because, you can't save now. Every dollar you have has to go to gas, groceries, bills, rent.
Does America feel great again?
Not in the way everyone wanted. With gas prices, and you can't afford to breathe at this point.
What does it feel like to be living in these conditions right now, in these economic conditions right now?
Hurt, very hurt. I try to do, sorry, I cried. I try to do a lot for my kids, and I can't do much.
It's hard, especially as a father, because you ain't got that extra cash to go and spoil your kids. So it's pretty difficult.
The middle class is definitely being affected, yeah. Low class might as well, crawl in a hole because they can't afford anything. Drill, baby, drill just didn't go, I don't think.
You still can't beat inflation, no matter what. Well, it seems we never catch up, no matter what. We're always behind the 8 ball.
Bro, and I literally had to humble myself because I thought we was mad because we only had $200 to $300 at the end of the month after we done paid everything. Bro, my last video, y'all is dropping screenshots of literal change in y'all bank account. And it's like everybody, not a certain generation, certain age group. It's a whole bunch of folks. No, like dead ass, how are y'all surviving on change? And some of y'all negative. Like what? And I'm not even making this to like be funny. I'm just like so shocked at how bad it is because it's not what I was thinking at all. I'ma stop fucking complaining.
It's really bad. Someone's like, I'm currently living off the crackers and apples my job has in the break room. I should be good to go in a few days though. And this is what they posted in their bank account.
So we don't have the capacity.
Like, baby, I owe everybody. They all gotta hold on. Borrowing money from friends and being unable to pay? My God, that's even worse. This is the most money I've ever made in my life, and still, this is the brokest I've ever been in my life. It's tough.
He ain't lying.
This is what the cost of living crisis looks like. My 2026 life is exactly the same as my 2025 life, except that it costs $400 more per month. And that's because my health insurance went up by $200 a month. My home insurance went up by $30 a month. Gas has gone up almost $1 per gallon in the last 3 weeks alone. Groceries are more expensive. Electricity is more expensive. And none of these increases are my fault, and they're not your fault either. None of this is because I'm bad with money or I'm spending too much on avocado toast. I'm doing all the things I'm supposed to be doing. I'm cooking at home. I am doing low-cost hobbies like hiking and biking. But when costs go up and random stuff happens, like a leak in my roof, that means I have to pay more. This is unsustainable for the vast majority of Americans. And while I absolutely believe that an individual has the power to change their life, I also think we need to be realistic about how systemic this cost of living crisis is. In order for things to change, we need top-down change.
Now, I don't know the status of her life, but based on what she's showing me, all these extracurricular activities she's doing, I think she might need to put her effort in getting another job. Because if cost of living is going up and you're out here doing other extra stuff, like going to a musical band, bruh, unless they're paying you, I don't know why you should be there. We should stop calling it a cost of living crisis and instead call it what it is. Crisis of greed and insane price gouging from corporations. Plus, the big beautiful bill is even giving them a tax break. So how are we even giving these corporations even more money when they don't even need it that badly?
60% of Americans will lose everything they got in the second quarter of 2026 under this administration. You guys see how many people lost their homes and got their cars repossessed. And look at the tariffs on China. We're still going back and forth with China, man, on tariffs, 145% tariffs. The gas prices is through the roof. The food prices, man, I don't even want to talk about. People are riding around on empty, man. So in the second quarter of 2026, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs, man. Y'all see what happened last month? 17,000 spirit workers lost their jobs. There was something happened at, I can't remember the name of the place, where 30-something thousand people got notices before they even went to work. They got fired through email, man. I can't remember the name of the company, but it happened like 2 months ago. Repossessions, man, is up to 15,000 repossessions a day in the United States. And in most cases, people can't even hide their cars. Even if you hide them at a friend's house or in the garage, they got all those devices on where they can track the vehicle, no matter what state you in, where you put it at, man. And that's why I believe 60% of Americans is going to lose everything they got, man. I see houses all around me going up for sale. I see all kind of cars being repoed from grocery store parking lots and stuff, man. It's getting bad out here, man. Save your money, man. Save your money. It's getting bad out here. This guy that's running our country don't give two fucks about you, man. He don't give two fucks about me. He's already a billionaire. He made it very clear that he do not care about your financial situation, man.
I'm 33, about to move back in with my mama. I can't do it alone anymore. Let me know if y'all feel the same way, because, bro, life is tough. Rent is going up, wages are not climbing, people are getting unemployed, and the only option you have right now is actually your own family. That's if you have someone to even support you like this. The new American dream is literally this.
Over half of America is basically saying my bank account and these press conferences are not having the same conversation. Because a new report says 55% of Americans say they are struggling financially. And the wild part is every couple of weeks, somebody with a net worth that looks like a lottery jackpot comes on TV to explain to regular people like you and me that everything is getting better. And I'm like, better where? Because the math has to math at the kitchen table, not just on a government spreadsheet. And to be fair, this is not a new problem. This is the same mistake that Joe Biden made when he kept saying inflation is down, things are better. Because millions of Americans kept looking at their grocery bills, their utilities bills, going, better for who? Because regular people like you and me don't measure economy by a chart. We measure it when the mortgage comes out, when the rent is due, when we leave the grocery store with 3 bags for $100 and trying to figure out how we got here. So you can tell people that the storm is clearing. But if they're still standing in the rain, they're going to question the forecast. So I want to know, forget what the politicians say. Forget what the headlines say. In your own actual house, with your actual bills and your actual paycheck, does it really feel like things are getting better? Because until people start really being honest about what they're experiencing, nothing's going to change.
The reason why millions of Americans are struggling right now isn't just because of inflation, and most people don't even understand why everything's so inflated right now. And it's because all of these major companies that we've invested all of our money into have invested their money into AI, and they want to see a return. When people invest their money into something, wouldn't you want to see a return? Right. So they're jacking the prices up of all of this stuff, making us pay for it. All of these flock cameras apparently cost $3,500 per camera in your city. So if you have 10 of those, that's $35,000. Why are we paying for something that we don't want? Why? Why? And they say that the power is in the people, yet the people are just sitting here on TikTok talking back and forth to each other while nothing's happening. So I guess that's kind of what I'm doing here, but at least I'm voicing the mass majority's opinion, while some people are just shutting up and going to work. Like, shutting up and going to work is what got us into this place in the first place. So let's speak up about some things that have been unjust for a very long time. Let's set them straight. Let's have a better future, because what we've been living in is not great for what we have coming forth of our next generations.
So according to today's report, the GDP in the second quarter of 2026, so April, May, and June, was 1.5%. That is down from the 2.1% GDP number we saw in the first quarter of 2026. As always, I think the best way to put these numbers into context is to look at them on a chart. This is a chart of the US GDP dating back to the first quarter of 2023 all the way to the second quarter of 2026. This is that 1.5% number that I was just talking about. Now, when you put this whole thing into context, you can see these bars are starting to get smaller, right? Which means the US economy is slowing down. The GDP is not as high, right? So 1.5% in the second quarter of 2026 is definitely down from the first quarter. So what's keeping the US economy afloat? Honestly, we are. Consumer spending was the major factor here. Real consumer spending was up 3.2% in the second quarter of 2026. That's up significantly from the first quarter and more than the fourth quarter of 2025. So yeah, we're spending, but according to the Personal Consumption Expenditures, PCE, which measures the prices paid for the goods and services purchased by all of us, we're spending more on things. PCE was up more than 5% in the second quarter. That's higher than the 4% number we saw in the first quarter of this year and significantly higher than any number we've seen in the last 2 years. The other thing propping up the U.S. economy, according to the report, are business investments, specifically investments related to artificial intelligence. Coincidentally, this investment in AI is also partly responsible for keeping that Q2 GDP number low. Make that make sense. Okay, let's look at this chart. You can see on the chart, we saw that high consumer spending, which is what I talked about, but we also saw a lot of imports coming into the country. Imports are subtracted from the GDP number, right? Because imports are not goods and services produced within a country. They are goods that are brought into the country. So they take away from the country's GDP. And those imports that were brought in the second quarter, according to the report, were mainly machinery and components to sustain all this AI growth. So what does all this mean? It means this report backs up what I reported the Federal Reserve Chairman said just yesterday, that the U.S. economy is extremely resilient. However, this report also shows the other part of what the Fed chair said, which is that the shocks to the U.S. economy, like the war and higher gas prices, are taking a toll.
It costs me $20 to $40 every time I leave my house. Bruh, maybe that was like last year, and now things are a little bit more expensive. You're probably around $100, I won't lie. We have the usual suspects. God bless President Trump. Even in the midst of suffering, even when the economy is going down, people will still support him. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are about Americans struggling during this tough financial time. Leave your comments down below. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. If it's your first time to the channel, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. Also, if you haven't, check out this video. I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. But nevertheless, I will see you guys when I see you. Peace.